Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the IAMS webinar. We're going to talk today about a very specific topic, in-service non-hardship withdrawals, and some opportunities around those that you may or may not be aware of. It will include a little bit of education, probably more education, maybe a little bit of sales and marketing to help you kind of take advantage of the opportunity around understanding in-service non-hardship withdrawals on 401ks and how you can use those to spend a little more time with your clients and maybe develop some business. So should be a good webinar here this morning. We're going to go a little shorter than we normally do with some of our other Tuesday morning meetings. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here right away. As we get started, a couple things as always that I want to mention. There will be a couple of polls that pop up. Please, by all means, ask. There'll be some very basic questions that we'll have for you there. Just answer yes or no as quickly as you can so we can keep moving. If you have any questions as well regarding the topics discussed today, please type those in. We'll get them asked and answered as quickly as we possibly can. Again, my name is Steve Murray. I'm the Executive Vice President here at Insurance Agency Marketing, one of the owners as well. And I want to make sure that during the course of our webinar today that we're meeting your needs. So by all means, don't hesitate to ask your questions. We'll get them, as I mentioned, asked and answered as quickly as we can. We're going to get started today, and I'm going to run through really quickly some of these things just on the interest of time. Most of you, I'm looking, are already with us on a regular basis and doing business, so probably aware of our RPM program. You refer business to us, we pay you a little bonus for all the business that they do in marketing reimbursement, money that we put in your account, and we match your spend on marketing dollar for dollar. Most of you are also aware of the new producer builders. These are very simple programs that you hit at different levels. We have different rewards, which you can see right there before you. We do some travel packages with the Ritz-Carlton. We do some business coaching with both Dave Pimper and Matt Gill. We do mailings for you. We'll add to your marketing reimbursement account fairly solid amounts. We'll match your spend dollar for dollar there. So there's a lot of things that we do, and you can claim at any one of those three levels. Life and Annuity Academy. I'm just going to put a quick poll up here. And the reason that I'm including this, I'm going to take just an extra minute on is we have 3 or 4 of them. We have 4 this year lined up right now. The first one is already booked, and that was down in Dallas, or will be down in Dallas here towards the middle of March. We'll have 3 more available here through the course of the year at least. So if you have interest in coming in for one of our Life and Annuity Academies, I want you to simply hit yes on this poll. And then what will happen is that you will receive a agenda, and also you will receive a registration form. Many of you have already registered. That's great if you have. You don't need to send that registration back in. If you're unsure, by all means, send it in. And then during the course of our call outs for the upcoming agendas, we work off those people that have sent registrations in. So we take care of the expenses associated with our academies. So there's no cost to you. You will be out of your office for 3 days. So usually it's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You come in on Wednesday. We go all day Thursday, go half a day Friday, and get you back off to your home. So it's a full agenda. The kind of the centerpiece of the Life and Annuity Academy is going to be our top 4 producer presentation. So we'll have Dave Pimper, Matt Gill, John Enting, and Anthony Lawrence. Each of them will present on a specific topic that is meant to help you with your business. It'll give you an opportunity either for seminars or specific business opportunities that can help you grow your business. And then we surround that with a lot of product information, a lot of sales and marketing ideas, a lot of input from carrier, and then as many sales ideas and marketing ideas that we can put in front of you. And then you'll leave with some pretty good tools to help you grow your business, not only from a marketing and sales side, but also from a knowledge side. So very beneficial. Many of you have voted. Some of you have not. In the interest of time, I'm going to close that poll out in about 30 seconds here. So if you're thinking about it and you think you might have some interest, by all means hit yes. If you're not sure, hit yes. If you're sure you've been in recently or are unable to attend, hit no. And with that, I am going to close that poll out. Thank you all for voting so quickly, by the way. Let's get moving right along here. Ritz-Carlton, we're going to be down at the Ritz-Carlton in Naples, Florida, this coming summer. We'd love to have you all join us. Many of you on board with us are well on your way to qualifying. We'd love to see you down there. Some of you also are qualifying for our upcoming trip in San Antonio. That's a co-sponsored event, kind of a celebratory event with in conjunction with Athene, and so you get kind of double duty qualification there. And as you know, all the business you write with IAMS qualifies towards our own trip. or our own trips in this case, and also your business counts towards carrier trips as well. So a lot of cases you're getting a double, sometimes triple credit. We'd love to have you join us down at the summer. We're going to have a great time. We're going to have mixed in a little bit of education, but a lot of relaxing and enjoyment. Beautiful beach down there in Naples. Great time of year for sunning on the beach and spending some time around the pool with your guests. That does include your guests, by the way. We're going to do a little golf, a little short meeting or two, and a lot of time to socialize with your spouse and kind of reap the rewards of your hard work. Okay, Dave, are you aboard with us this morning? Well, I'm going to make sure that Dave sometimes joins us just a little bit later, and I'm sure that he is probably surprised at how quickly I move. So I'm going to get him on the line here really quick. And while we're moving along, I need to put you all on hold, if that's all right. Thank you. I'm hoping that you can all hear Dave. Unfortunately, I'm unable to, so evidently he is aboard with us here. Give him just a second. Hey, Dave. Good. Yeah, and I can't hear you. Are you able to hear? Okay, perfect. Thanks. Okay, Dave is in the process of joining us. I apologize for the little delay here. We'll get him on with us right away. I appreciate your all's patience. There we go. So obviously in-service non-hardship withdrawals has to do with 401ks and getting access to 401ks to folks that, at 59 and a half or older. And sometimes within a plan, there's opportunity for those non-hardship withdrawals, which allows them to access and kind of diversify within their 401k by working outside of the 401k and doing some transfers out to IRAs. So Dave is going to take some time and he's going to talk about that. He's really kind of become an expert in the in working with qualified funds over his 25, now 30 years in the business. So with that in mind, it should be a pretty good webinar here today. He'll be joining us shortly. And I think I might, in interest of time, let's see if it'll allow me to. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get started because we're anxious to kind of give you the opportunity to get in and out of the webinar here in about 30 minutes on a Tuesday. We know you got a lot going on. Certainly post the holiday, your work is probably built up. Good morning, Dave. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I apologize. I got hung up with a client, but I'm on now.
Good, and I did move along pretty quickly, kind of as we discussed. So just so that you're aware of that. All right. So I moved us up to the first slide. Are you able to see?
Absolutely.
Good. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get rolling. I'm going to give you the keyboard here.
Okay, sounds great. And I apologize, folks, for being a little late this morning. I got hung up. I'm in production just like everybody on this phone call, so we're out beating the bushes. In-service non-hardship withdrawal plans, that's an interesting animal. And, in fact, I just got just give you, I guess, a perfect example. Of course, I'm not making this up, but it was very timely. There's a lead that came in actually from a radio lead. I do a radio show each and every week with a big AM radio station, a 50,000 watt station out of Omaha. And the fellow calls up, and he's about an hour and a half away from Omaha and about an hour and 10 minutes away from Fremont, where I live. And he just called in. I had a phone appointment with him, but he's going to be 64 years of age in July. So he's over the age of 59 and a half, and he had no idea. He said, well, I'm still working. That money won't be available. He had another 150,000 with the Ameriprise that he was unhappy with. So that's what he thought he was calling for, and we got the whole thing. So there was just under 300,000 in his 401k, and there's another 150,000 between him and his wife in IRAs. That all came from in-service non-hardship withdrawal plan. So what exactly is an in-service non-hardship withdrawal plan? So I would say that it's well over 50%, and it's even smaller plans have it now. But if you're if you're 59 and a half or older, you can go in and you can take out your 401k, 403b, 457. You can go in and take the monies out and still be working for the firm and normally still be contributing to the firm. Sometimes you've got to wait 6 months before you can contribute. But we, like this fella, we're leaving about $1,500 in the plan and taking the rest of the money on out. But it's a great way to prospect. You should always ask every one of your prospects and your clients, hey, if they're working and they're over the age of 59 and a half and they have a 401k, 403b, 457, ask them, do you know if you have an in-service non-hardship withdrawal privilege to that retirement plan? Most people it'll just be Greek to them. But what happens is that you can go on in, then it's easy. Don't say talk to your human resource director or talk to the advisor who's working the plan. No. You just call up the custodian. So whether that be Fidelity or American Funds or Vanguard or T. Rowe Price or Ameritrade or Schwab, whoever it is, you just call that 800 number and say, hey, you're with the client, of course, and you're asking, do they have in-service non-hardship withdrawal privileges? And you're going to be amazed of how many people do. If there's any questions, certainly just go in and type them on in, and I'll be more to go in and to help you with that. So let's go in and talk about kind of the rules and regulations. Normally, you have to be 59 and a half or older to participate. That's the first thing, okay? The second thing is that it's normally 401ks, 403bs, 457 plans, all right? And I might get a little behind here because my machine's a little bit slow. So most of the time, all of the money is available. There are some plans that only have your contributions available, maybe not the match, okay? And you got to ask about, can you defer in the future? Because that's important if you can do that also. If they take it out in cash, 20% withholding will be taken from it. So, of course, you're transferring it. You're rolling it over from one plan to an IRA. Some in-service non-hardship withdrawals need a spousal consent. Most plans don't, but some plans do. If there's a loan on it, the loan has to be paid off first, from that portion of it. Almost everyone, you have to work for 2 of 5 years, but you're direct transferring that out. On an in-service non-hardship withdrawal plan, you don't want the check made out to you, okay, because that'll get you 20% withholding taken out. 100% of it will roll over if it goes from one custodian to the other. So for the client, what's good about this? There's more options. And in our business, the insurance business, the annuity business, there aren't very many good guarantee options in the plan. There's a company called Valmont, which is an irrigation light pole company between Valley and my town of Fremont, outside of Omaha. In fact, the corporate offices are in Omaha, 25 miles away. And they just installed an in-service non-hardship withdrawal about 5 or 6 years ago. No one even knew they had it. And I've done a lot of business with folks from Valmont. But say they got $400,000 in the plan, and I might work with 100,000 of it, and it goes into the guarantee. I normally am working with the portion. This last fellow wanted to do every single bit of it, and of course that's great. And I was able to help him a lot compared to where he was, within that 401k. So choices, options, alternatives for that prospect or client, it's huge, and it's a great way to get your foot in the door. So why, you got to ask yourself a question, why do companies like IBM or Exxon, Kellogg's, why do they offer an in-service withdrawal privilege? There's a reason. They would rather not have money come out of the plan, but you know why they do it? They first do it, when you go in and look at it, they first do it because they want to be competitive with other plans. That's one of the first things. They want to be competitive with other plans. The second thing is that when the worker is getting older and there's more money in there, they feel like they can't get to that money until they retire. And so they aren't as apt to retire as early. And that's another good thing about plans like this. I call it a phased retirement. They remain employed while reducing their work hours. It's pretty common these days. Let's say they've got 6 choices, but one of the choices, a person comes up and says, you never had an emerging growth fund, and my gosh, I lost out on so much money. Or you never had a good guarantee option, so I never thought at getting 0.5% was a good option, and I lost a lot of money, because there's liability for the company. But if they can come back and say, hey, you could have always taken that money out, you could have rolled it over to an advisor. They won't tell you, but in a circumstance like that, I absolutely know that the employer is going to tell you. Okay? So advantages and disadvantages of a in-service non-hardship. It's not a hardship. You're just 59 and a half and you want to take money out, you're feeling great. So and I just kind of want to just thumbs up, thumb downs, but advantages. Well, the advantage for the client, there's different investment choices, there's different annuity choices, there's different guarantee choices. Maybe they don't have any kind of lifetime income rider. Where do they get that within a 401k? They don't. But we have that available. So different asset classes that could be worthwhile for the client. The client now has full control of their money. It's not controlled by the 401k. And you know what I love? I love where people will say, well, my company's paying all the fees and expenses of the 401k. Well, I'll tell you right now, the chance of that happening are slim, slim, slim. You got the internal cost of the funds, or the ETFs, whatever they are, mainly their funds, because they're actively managed normally. You got an administration fee that's hidden, an administration cost. And even in big plans, it can run 50 to 75 basis points. With mid-size and smaller, it can run over 1%. I've seen it as high as 2.5%. So there are costs to 401ks. You get professional guidance and advice. They're either, if it's a fixed indexed annuity, is there a cost to that? Not going in. There's a cost that there's a cap. There's a cost that there's a surrender charge. You have some free availability of your money, say 10% a year. But you know what? Is it like an A share where it comes out? No, it's no load going in. Is a holding period. There is a cap that can reduce big gains, but having that professional guidance is a pretty big deal. And then we talk about retirement income, the distribution features of maybe having a lifetime benefit availability. Yeah, pretty cool. And I'll say this, most, not all, but many 401k plans will not allow you to inherit those monies. It used to be very rare. There's more of them doing it now, but you absolutely can have your heirs, not your wife because there's a spousal privilege, but your kids normally, they can go in and inherit that money, meaning it's off of their life expectancy. They're taking out as little as they possibly can. That's inheriting the money or stretching the money. I got a really nice deal, 300,000 plus, on a guy that came in, and we were talking about. I have a 401k IRA rollover workshop that I put together, got FINRA reviewed. I use it certainly on an ongoing basis as a seminar lead generation source. He came in and said, he actually called his 401k and they said, nope, we don't do inheritance as far as inherited IRAs. And so he rolled over a fair amount of that money over with me because he was 62 years of age. He's after the age of 59 and a half. This gives the client so many more options. Now, are there disadvantages? Yeah. Well, we want to be fair here. Maybe the person's very familiar with those Fidelity funds or those Vanguard funds. Yeah, they're very, very familiar, and they just don't want to make a move. How about there could be lower costs? How much cost is there in a fixed annuity? How much internal cost? None. Without an income rider, none. Fixed indexed annuity without an income rider, none. Normally, unless it's a participation fee. But if it's a point-to-point, there is no fee. Or an average, there is no fee, usually. But it could be higher in outside investments than inside the plan. It could be. So that's something you look at. How about if you want all of your 401k investments in one IRA account or one 401k account and you're not part of that? Yeah, it could be. And normally there's a little bit of cost to transfer. And so part of that is $20 to $50. You know what? And if there's ever an issue on that, I just reimburse the client through my broker. I do have a broker dealer. You can do it in a different way because straight insurance people have quite a bit more independency than the overlooking compliance of a broker dealer. But there could be a cost to transfer. So those are kind of some of the possible disadvantages. So how do you prospect? And we're getting towards the end here. And if you got any questions, certainly go in and ask them. But you know what? If you get their 401k statement, then you can call the custodian to see if that. Most people, 95% of the people have no idea its availability. But ask the prospect if they know about it. If you've already if they're already a client and you got an ongoing relationship, I mean, I look a couple of times a year. With my CRM, I can see everybody's, of who's still working in my book of business that I have not worked in their 401k, and I call and you don't get everyone, but you certainly prospect, and I would say 1 out of 3 or 4 will consider rolling some monies over. Partial transfers are huge. Don't have to take the whole thing, and it makes them feel more comfortable. Give them options they don't have now. They need to have worked for 2 out of the last 5 years, and very well could make their portfolio better. Judge Billings Learnhand, United States Second Court of Appeals, this is Helvering versus Gregory, says anyone may so arrange his affairs that his taxes shall be as low as possible. Nobody owes any public duty to pay more than the law demands. And I like to have that on there because what do you do when you're rolling over money? So a direct rollover, yeah, that means from custodian to custodian. It never goes into the hands of the individual client or the individual prospect. It's tax-free transfer, isn't it? There's no taxation on it. Different than if you take the check on it made out to you. You got 60 days to roll it over, but you know what? The 401k is going to take 20% of it out. You have to pay all that back within 60 days. A lot of people, if there's 400,000, they're going to take 80 grand out. Unless where are you going to come up with 80 grand? A lot of people don't have that in liquid funds. There's continual tax deferral. Certainly are more investment options that we have. The guarantee options within 401ks and 403bs are paltry. There's a money market usually. There could be a stable income fund that are they're averaging about 1.2 or 3% a year over the last 5 years. Pretty paltry. Certainly more investment options, able to consolidate plans. This is all the things you can do with a direct rollover into an IRA. There are mandatory distributions. So at 70.5, you have an RMD. With a 401k, if you leave it there, at 7.5, you have an RMD. But with the 401k or the 403b or the 457 government, you've got to go in and take that specific amount from the plan itself. What's different with IRAs is if you got 5 IRAs, you can take it from 1, from 2, from 5. So long as you take out the amount from the IRA, the government is happy. IRS is happy. Having your own money and not in the 401k, you're in control of that money. And there's more potential to stretch in an IRA than there is to go in and have that money in the 401k. There's no doubt about it. Remember, if you got any questions at all, certainly bring them up. I like to say that it's important to avoid large losses. That's kind of I work with pre-retired and retired. And so if you go in and say you give Dave Pimper or monies, and let's say that the first year I make you 10%. People are pretty darn happy, aren't they? The second year I make you 10%. Now they're real happy. The next year I make you 10%. Now we're extremely happy. The fourth year, correction comes in and we lose 10%. Up 10 year 1, up 10 year 2, up 10 year 3, down 10. You got to make 34% to average 10% a year. You'd think it'd be 20, but it's not. It's 34%. Remember, a 50% loss, you've got to make 100% gain to get back to even. But with a 10% loss, you need only a little over 11% gain to get back to even. And so that's why I always say it's not how good your good years are, it's how good your bad years are. And having a portion of that prospect's or client's money in a fixed or a fixed indexed annuity protects some of that downside. It protects all of it within the investment, but if you've got to allocate it out, yeah, it protects that downside. And I think that most people, especially kind of what happened, I think that it's important through October the 3rd of 2018 to the 24th of December. In that time period, the market was down just under 19%. Now, has the market been good? For 2019, it has, but people don't like a roller coaster ride, and that's certainly what we're in right now. So if you heard something today, then we're going to bring up here in a couple slides, it says mark yes if you'd like to get more information on in-service non-hardship withdrawal plans. Also, if you have some interest in seminar marketing or radio show marketing, I'm a coach for IAMS. I only work for insurance agency marketing services. I'm a producer, not employed by IAMS. I get paid by coaching fees, which IAMS comes in. IAMS comes in and pays for the majority, about 3/4 of those costs. I'm not in your hierarchy. But Will Rogers says it's not the return on my investment that I'm concerned about. It's the return of my investment. Yeah, you bet. Yeah, I've done over 480 public seminars. So I've done them started in 81, but started doing seminars in 85. I'm still in full production. I'm kind of a busy critter. I'm in front of a lot of people almost each and every day. I try to make a complicated subject easier to understand for my coaching clients, but it's a one-on-one coaching. So if you mark yes, my administrator will call you. If you mark yes, take the call. We don't want to keep calling and bugging people. If you don't want us to call, then mark no. We are not going to call. But our systems are turnkey systems. So our seminar systems are turnkey. Our radio show, and I did a live radio show for 11 years in a smaller town, and I now do in Omaha, which has a metro of about 900,000, but it's the Rush Limbaugh AM station, Hannity, and so forth. What happens though, all of our programs are a process in a system, but you get ongoing personal support if you coach with me. Once it isn't like you coach with me and then you don't hear from me again. You can call me virtually anytime you want to. So I like the thinker. Actually, I get down in my man cave. I've got a thinker down there. And so think about this. The majority of near retirees are not aware that they have available an in-service non-hardship withdrawal plan. They don't know about it until someone tells them. Well, why would you want that someone to be someone else in the financial business and not you? And then there are decisions how you can help your client through that in-service non-hardship withdrawal to maximize either their income, maximize their portfolio value, or just maximize the retirement plan assets in general. Very, very important. So I'm going to do this last slide, and then Steve's going to put up. Steve is going to put up a poll, and if you have an interest of talking, great. Lori or Lynn or Amy, one of my administrators will call in the morning, get a good time for you and for me to put it on the calendar, and we'll talk for 20, 25 minutes. But it says here, procrastination is my sin. It brings me constant sorrow. I really shouldn't practice it. Perhaps I'll stop. You know what? Tomorrow never comes, does it? Don't let that happen to you. If you heard something today that you said, gosh, maybe I need to get some insight on in-service non-hardship withdrawals, or insight on seminar marketing, radio show marketing, mark yes, we'll talk. You know what? Not everybody wants to market. I like being in front of prospects day in and day out. I have a pretty large book of business that I also service. That certainly brings me in business, but I certainly like new clients to come into my book of business. And how do you do that? You either do it, one of the ways of marketing or referrals, but I'll tell you, in-service non-hardship withdrawal, that has really been a big plus for myself and a lot of people that I coach with. So if you mark yes, we will certainly give you a call in the morning, and I'm looking forward to talking with you. And Steve, I'll shoot this on over to you, and you can kind of finish this up.
You bet, Dave. Thank you. I appreciate you taking some time out today. I know you've got a busy schedule happening today. Like everyone else, kind of post-holiday things tend to stack up, so I appreciate you coming aboard with us. And also, along that same line, appreciate all of our attendees making some time today, and appreciate their patience as we got rolling here. So you see a poll up there. It's a generic poll that we use, but if you have interest in what we talked about today, just hit yes, and I see that most of you have already answered, which is great. There's a few of you that haven't. Think about it a little bit. Obviously, there's opportunities in the working with in-service non-hardship withdrawals that the 401k market is huge. It's probably the single biggest qualified asset base in the country. So there's plenty of folks to talk to about that. More and more and more companies offer the in-service non-hardship withdrawals as part of the plan. So some good opportunity there. I've got a couple of questions here, Dave. One has to do with, do you have to be securities licensed in order to assist people in this arena? You wanted to handle that one?
Sure, absolutely not. No, you don't. But what happens is you can't, if they have, say they have XYZ Fidelity Growth Fund, you can't recommend to sell that growth fund. You don't have a securities license. You don't know that investment. Legally, you cannot do that. But what you can do is you can say, hey, you've got this growth fund, and you were talking about how you're concerned about losses in last October, November, December. Let me show you something from the guarantee side. So you're not saying to sell it. You're saying, let me just give you an idea of what an alternative could be. You're not making a recommendation. So as long as you stay in general terms on the investment, you're just fine. You're just fine.
Good. Tom is a little bit on the cutting edge here, I see. So he references that his understanding was that annuities of all sorts could be included in 401ks, which I know to be true. What comment would you have on that?
Yeah, it's proposed. But you know what? This is Thomas who asked the question.
Yep, Tom.
Steve?
Yep.
Yeah, Tom. You know what? When you go through, tell me the last time that you've seen an annuity in the ones you're looking at on your 401k. Tell me the last time that you've seen an annuity in a 401k. Well, I look at them every week, and I'll tell you the last time I saw one is before I was born. I've never seen one. I've never seen one. And I'm not saying but I know the government is pushing for this because they want some lifetime income. So there might be more in the future But you know what? As of right now, no, you don't see. Now, you could see some GICs, guaranteed investment contracts, see that. But I'm talking about, when's the last time that you saw fixed index annuity, Steve, in a 401k?
Honestly, Dave, I've never ever seen one. So I
never have
either.
I never have either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, could but I know the government wants more, and a lot of it's because of the living benefit, and that's really going to be good for clients. I think that opens up a whole another area. If the government's, you know, kind of a proponent for it, that we can show it also. But as of right now, no, there just isn't much competition there at all.
Ed asks if we can do the same thing with SEPs.
Yeah, so what happens is that in-service non-hardship withdrawals, you know what, I've not had it come up with SEPs. I don't think so. I think it has to be an ERISA plan, but I know that like the 457 is not, but they have availability of in-service. I would have to go in and look that, Steve, and you know what, if I get his phone number or if he marks yes, then I'll certainly look that up on the government website and make it positive. I've not run across that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just thinking that through, and you know, SEPs are not handled. You know, they don't really have a. I mean, it's a IRS plan, and where you choose to put your money within that IRS plan is kind of up to the individual. So definitely, I know that you can use annuities. Could you take money from one pocket and put it into another within a SEP? I would think the answer to that question would be yes. In fact, I really don't think it's applicable. You know, there would be no need to have a non-hardship in-service withdrawal from a SEP plan because you've got pretty good freedom.
That's right. Yeah, you do have. I would think that's the case also, and that's what would be my guess. I think you're right, Steve.
Yep. So tons of opportunity when the qualified funds market all around, whether it's a SEP, IRA. There's, you know, safety, security guarantees. Has really come to the forefront again here lately, as it always does when the stock market gets a little rocky. And, you know, a lot of you out there that are only insurance licenses certainly opens up some opportunity there. I know that more recently I've seen a lot of things, and I know that a lot of 401ks use like a bond. You know, there are some that they have bond funds, and people look at that as kind of the safe, secure, guaranteed part of their 401k. Dave, what's your thought on that right now?
Say it again, Steve. I was trying to find that out about SEP. I'm sorry. What was the question again?
So I know a lot of 401ks traditionally have kind of leaned on like bond funds for kind of the safety, secure, guaranteed part of a portfolio. What would you say to that these days?
Yeah, well, no, bonds are safer than stocks are, but people don't understand. I started in 1981. And bonds are interest rate sensitive. The longer the term of the bond, the more interest rate sensitive they are. The shorter term, the less there is, but the shorter term, the less the return is also. So what happens is the stable income is the only thing that where there isn't any fluctuation in the as far as the principal is concerned, but which they've been averaging about 1.25% to 1.4% over the last 5 years, pretty paltry. Mm-hmm. But what happens is interest rates are now, you know, they've gone up 6 or 7 times at one quarter. Now, they may not go up till the middle of the year or the end of the year, but there's more pressure on rates going up than going down. And if you look at bond returns last year, they were not good. There's a lot of negative bond returns because of interest rates being raised a 0.25% 4 times. So safer, yes, they use that as a safety, but guaranteed, no, they're not. So they're not. And that's what really, I think, and again, I'm biased on this, but I use fixed indexed and sometimes fixed because there's some pretty competitive fixed rates now that I mean, can get as high as 4%, Steve. I think those are still available or near 4%.
Very close
on a fixed annuity. Yep. Yeah. So what happens is, and you know, we're seeing caps at above 6% on the fixed index on the 1 year point to point. Those are pretty darn competitive and with guarantee of principal. So I don't like, if I have a guarantee of principal, I don't like a bond fund, there is fluctuation. If it's a short-term bond fund, there may not be much, but I like to say your principal is just, it's going to fluctuate just like a certificate of deposit. None. Not 1 penny up, not 1 penny down. That's a comfort to people.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. That is our last question. I'm going to go ahead and close that poll out here. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. So if for some reason, and this is true of the other polls, if anyone aboard here today was unable to to answer on the polls thanks to some kind of a technical difficulty. If you would, get back with me here at the office, 800-255-5055, and I will get out the Academy information to you if you like, or I'll get out your name to Dave so his team can call and make an appointment for you to have a quick phone call. And those phone calls last what, Dave, 15, 20 minutes initially?
Yeah, about 20 minutes. Yeah, in that neighborhood. And you know what? I did get up on the government website. It was just talking about which employer plans permit in-service distributions: 401ks, 403bs, 457s. It doesn't mention anything here on simples or on SEPs. So I would have to look further, but I want to say that there is not a need on a plan. It's going to be one of those three is where you're normally going to go in and do it. So it says, I'm just reading, a SEP IRA generally follows the distribution rules that are applicable to the traditional IRA, just like you said, Steve.
Yeah.
Thus, there are no applicable withdrawal restrictions, although taxes, so blah, blah, blah. So yeah, so it isn't going to be available there because you've got different that are already available at 59.5.
You bet.
You know, so
Yep.
it's just on those three main, and that is the case. Yeah.
Yep. Good.
Yep.
Okay. So anything you want to add before we close out for the day, Dave?
No, I tell you what. You know, without some action on your part, you know, if there isn't some action on your part, then normally nothing happens. And some advisors are like Venus flytraps. Okay, they kind of open up and they hope people come to them. Well, you know what? When you've got a Venus flytrap has this glue-like kind of smell and it attracts insects. It's the difference of going in and kind of being in that blind, and you're trying to call in or going out into the field and hunting and taking the bushes and really kind of trying trampling and hoping something comes on up. This in-service non-hardship withdrawal is such an easy thing to bring up to prospects because they don't know about it. It's such an easy thing to bring up to clients. So I would say that if you haven't been marketing this, there's probably a lot of money in your book of business and of your prospects that they had no idea that they could work with. It's a very, very simple sell. So I'd love to talk to you, give you some other ideas of how to prospect with in-service non-hardship withdrawal plans.
Great. Thank you, Dave. Very helpful, very useful information. Hopefully presented just a little tighter time frame than what we usually have available. So if you have any questions, anything that has arisen during the course of the event and you think of it later, just give us a call here at the office. We're interested always in giving you opportunities and education to help you grow your business. Dave is a big part of that for us. He does a great job and has for now 12, 13 years, which we appreciate very much. So tried and true resource for our guys. It's done a lot of great things for many of our regular producers. So thank you, Dave, for taking some time out today. Thank you all as well for joining us today. We appreciate it. The fact that you look to us for assistance and direction with your business means a lot to us, and we will try and make sure that we live up to your expectations all along the way. So thank you for tuning in this morning. Thank you for looking to IAMS for some assistance, and thank you, Dave, for the great assistance and that you provide so many of our producers.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for attending. I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.